Hello and welcome back to the Buddies Much podcast. And get ready to get a little spooked because it's Spooktober, and today we're talking about scary movies, modern scary movies. As always, I'm Andrew, and I'm here with I am Sean. And
I'm Chase.
I hope I didn't spook you. I'm sorry.
it shook me to my core a little bit, so that's why I had to pause. But I regained. I'm back. I'm with it. Again, we're talking about scary movies, but we're going to be talking about modern day scary movies. We've each picked a movie, and we've got little fun facts and little tropes or things that we liked about them and why we like it or dislike it. I assume we all picked a movie we liked.
Some fun stories. Yeah.
Sean, what movie did you pick? What spooky movie spooked you or didn't spook you? Sorry, he's on the toilet. He's coming back.
I think Grudge.
The Grudge. All right, Chase, what movie did you pick?
Okay, I picked two. I'm sorry, guys, but...
Oh, wow, okay.
Because here's the thing.
I'll just let you do the whole thing.
I don't like scary movies.
That's very true, you don't.
I don't like horror. These two, you can like... Maybe if you combine them, it would be like super scary. But like... They're you know, when it comes to horror, they're probably two of my favorites.
Okay.
So I gotta say?
Yeah, if you want, or you can keep it a surprise. I don't care. You can surprise us.
All right. This movie came out in 2006. It's called Stay Alive. It's a great movie.
And the movie I picked was the original Saw movie. So, who wants to start? Anyone have a hankering to start? Chase, you want to start?
No, Andrew does.
I think Andrew wants to start.
All right. I'll go first, as Yugi would say. Yes, the movie I picked was Saw. I believe everyone here's seen it. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Chase, have you seen it, or have you...
I've seen it.
Okay.
I have. I did a Saw marathon once.
So did I. So I'll actually start with that. When I was a teenager, I was probably... No, I was in my early 20s. I can't remember. I attempted to do a Saw marathon. I think there were 6 at the time. I got 5 movies in. I had to stop because I was like emotionally drained. I was just watching all of the like horror and just like numb to it at this point. I don't want to turn into a sociopath, so I'm just gonna stop for tonight. And then I just never picked it back up because I had just seen so much.
You just like go to the grocery store and people are like, "Oh, what's this game?" And you're like,
But if you've seen any of the Saw movies, they progressively get worse over time.
It started being more about the gore.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, the people who created the movies, that's one of the grievances they had, is that like it was never about that. It was, in the first movie, it had some psychological thriller, and they wanted it to focus more on that. And then it just became more of a sadistical torture. Yeah. I don't want to say the word on the podcast, but it was more about just watching sadistic shock value, if you will. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
But some fun facts about the movie. This movie was filmed in... how long do you think it took? We'll play a teeny game here.
The first...
Like, how long did it take to film the entire movie? Because, Marvel movies take a long freaking time.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're talking, like, cameras rolling to done editing.
Yes.
Wait, done editing? Or just, like...
Like, it took this long to film. It doesn't... It doesn't also include, like it going to get aired. It was just like, all right, that's a wrap. We're done filming.
3 weeks.
Oh, 3 weeks?
That's
okay. Marvel movies, I think it takes like a couple years, or at least a year.
A year of filming, and then like a year of editing, and then like
3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks?
It's either really long or really short. I'm gonna say a month.
It took 18 days.
Okay, wow.
So
I was close.
I was trying to throw you off by being the cool. Yeah, it took 18 days to film this movie, which is just wild to me. But
I mean, fairly low budget, I would think. except for the gore scenes.
It was low budget.
Yeah.
So the whole movie was shot, I believe, in one warehouse. It was just one location because they had no budget. Originally, the idea for Saw was the creators wanted to show the perspective from a security camera booth. So a guy would be looking at a security camera footage and watching all this happen.
Okay.
Because it would be super low budget. You could do it in one room.
I feel like they kind of did that more in Saw 2.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But they, I guess, came to the conclusion that that would be really boring. And so they actually used more of the warehouse and ended up creating Saw. Because there's not very many locations. There's just that one room. And I think one or two little flashbacks or something.
I mean, yeah, it's like the room where they're in,
mm-hmm.
a little bit of the warehouse, and like I think like hit the detective's house.
Yeah, like a little bit of outside shots.
And like the police station.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But this movie, their budget was $700,000. If you look online, you get two different answers, but the general consensus is that the budget was $700,000, which is pretty low.
That's pretty low, yeah.
And when it released, it made over $103 million. So
there you go.
There you go. Yeah, they hit it pretty big with a super low budget and this movie exploding. And of course, everyone knows about the movie. It's gotten
It's got 7 remakes,
6 sequels, and then a remake called Jigsaw, and it's just so much stuff. At this point, they've beaten it into the ground. And anyway, it's still fun to go back to the original. Very few cast members.
Oh yeah. My favorite was Saw 2, actually.
I also liked Saw 2 a lot.
Pretty twisty and
yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's old enough. You can spoil it.
Yeah, it's pretty old.
But like at the end, he was like, "You just have to sit and talk to me and keep talking to me," and you know.
Yeah, so like the big spoiler is that everything that they're watching on camera had already happened.
Yeah.
And so there's no real saving them because it's just old footage. And the guy that said he kidnapped the detective's son, he says, if you just listen to me and listen to my story, you'll get your son back. And there's a safe in the room, and at the end the safe opens and his son is actually fine. So
yeah.
The footage is irrelevant to the cop. But yeah, cool movie. It's pretty spooky. It is very gory. Heads up, that's one of the reasons it got famous. Probably the reason it got famous.
It's top of its game when it comes to gore.
Yeah, it's known for showing the stuff that people are pretty afraid to see. You know, people in pain, the bones, the blood,
getting stabbed in the eye,
or sadistic traps.
Your head getting crushed. Or
the famous.
I remember watching. I think I was watching Saw with you. And I remember we were watching it. This was forever ago. And it was the glass box. You had to reach up and grab the key, but then she sticks both hands in. I'm just like, really? That would have been the easiest.
So that's why they made the bimbo do it, I guess.
Yeah, that's horror movie logic where it's like everyone split up and look for clues, and then the Chainsaw Man can get you one by one.
But that's how we play video games.
That's true. But yeah, great movie. I don't really know what else to say about it. Just yeah. Anyway, good movie. Chase, what about you?
All right, so Stay Alive. Not a great movie, but I liked it. Okay.
You may need to tell people what it's about because I think a lot of people don't know about the movie.
So Stay Alive is, get this, Disney's only slasher film.
This was made by Disney?
It's Disney?
It's Disney.
I didn't know that.
Technically, Disney. It's not like Fox Disney, but it's like Disney's only slasher film.
I did not know that.
And for a good reason.
That's why it had Frankie Muniz in it. Huh?
Probably.
And the girl from One Tree Hill, I think.
Wow. So it was it was a PG-13. I think they wanted an R rating, but they were like, no, Disney. Right? So it was actually PG-13, but they did release like a director's cut with like the missing 9 minutes that made it R.
9 minutes?
It was like 9 minutes.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 90.
Like,
I was like, whoa, that's a whole nother movie.
But
Muniz,
pretty
like,
much.
Whips out a boob or something.
Yeah, probably.
So, Stay Alive, it's about these kids, and they play this video game. And if you die in the video game, you die in real life.
So it's not like they get sucked into the game. They just
No.
have to play. Okay.
But you pretty much, I can't remember if they die. I haven't seen it in years. It's been a lot of years. But I think they go in and they die pretty much the same way they die in the no, it's not the same way. But anyway, they die. And of course, turns out, it's based on like this, not just some haunted lady kind of.
Oh. So they're playing like Donkey Kong, or
It's not daunting.
No,
it's a horror
some-
game.
It's some like made up game, I think. Isn't the game called Stay Alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I mean, it's kind of like comedy horror slasher.
Wait,
Like-
that's a fun combo. If you can pull off like
Wait.
screaming and then laughter and then screaming again.
Was it actually comedy horror, or was it just really bad so you thought it was funny?
It's probably the latter.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching it so many times. But yeah. Also, fun fact. Guess how many days that movie was filmed in? 'Cause you've seen it.
I have. Well, now I don't know what to think. How many days it took to film the movie? Is that what you said?
Did you say 25 days? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
actually.
Man, 25 days. Kind of
That's pretty quick.
interesting. But
So what was your other movie?
how about we go to Sean,
Oh,
and then
okay,
we'll
alright.
come back.
Oh,
Come back to my actual favorite.
Okay.
They're both like there.
I chose The Grudge, and this movie came out in the American version came out in 2004.
Yeah, a long time ago.
I was just a kiddo back then, and I wasn't allowed to watch so I'd like sneak over to a friend's house, and we'd all sit around and pretend we weren't scared, you know, like we'd just be like clutching each other and just be like, no, it's just a ghost, dude. It's just a ghost. It's stupid. It's a stupid ghost. No, I was just screaming because it was funny, dude. It's funny.
I'm gonna turn on the light, but it's not because I'm scared. I just need to grab something real quick.
Yeah, so, and then like you walk home by yourself after that. And you're like, it's just like a cat moves and you just sprint home. But that was back in the good old days, you know, when things were spooky and fun. But I tell you what, Grudge was probably, I'm not gonna say the first, because I'm pretty sure the first like horror movie I saw was The Ring. But The Ring's American remake is what inspired The Grudge's American remake. And let's see, I got some trivia here.
While he's looking that up, I remember the first time I saw The Grudge, I saw it a little bit later in life. I was still a teenager, though. And I remember people would not shut up about how scary this movie was. And people just overhyped this movie to the point where it ruined it for me. So when I watched the movie, I was just like, okay. I don't know. I think I was just watching it with the wrong people. I just didn't really like the people I watched it with. They were kind of annoying and overhyped it. And so it just kind of ruined it, which is a shame because it's a good movie.
It spooked me.
It's a spooky one for sure.
You got some trivia for us?
Yeah. So let's see. Before filming, the cast and crew would like do like a ritual to bless the filming site, so no ghosts would show up. And, like,
oh, that's funny.
I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, no way, dude. But apparently the movie is actually based on like an actual legend of like.
Isn't it a Chinese or Japanese legend or something?
Yeah. So this wife gets killed by her husband, and she comes back. It's a Japanese word. I can't pronounce it, but she comes back as this ghost and just murders people. But they took that legend and turned it into The Grudge. And I mean, that's really, I mean, that's straight up what the movie is about. Also, I guess this won't matter if you've seen the unrated cut because they put all the stuff in. but due to the American rating system, they had to leave out some like really important parts, like how she died. You know, there's a scene where she's like dragging herself across the floor, and she's holding a box cutter, and she's all bloody and stuff. And everyone's like, "That's weird, right?" But they had to take out a scene where the husband was like stabbing her to death with the box cutter.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, due to the like, they couldn't show that on American TV.
Why?
Because like that gore was just too much for I don't know.
It's rated R though, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
American Grudge, I don't think was.
Oh, okay.
So there was like the PG-13 rating.
Oh, you're right, because
That
I
came
watched
out.
it when I was a teen, so it must have been PG-13. Yeah.
And then they came out with an unrated version.
Yeah.
That had the same,
Okay.
you know.
That makes more sense.
I didn't like The Grudge. I had to watch it with the lights on.
That's okay.
Well, I mean, so did I, but but I wouldn't tell you that.
I do not do that well with horror. Can't do horror. It's so... I mean, I could do slashers.
So you get like that.
You can do
spine
like
tingling.
thrillers, though.
And I can do thrillers, but like just straight up horror, I've had bad experience. I remember watching the Japanese version of The Grudge when I was very young.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the Japanese version of The Ring when I was...
Same.
I had to have been a freshman, and it actually scared me. I watched it like with the lights off. It was on the computer. And
like alone in your room.
Alone, yeah. And there got to a certain part where like you see the ghost, and I'm like, this is too much for I can't do it because I watched the American version. It was fine, and
Yeah.
then the Japanese version, I'm like, no, these Japanese know what they're doing, man.
No,
They know what
jeez.
they're doing.
Well, that's the thing, because like I remember I was watching the Japanese version of The Grudge with my brother and some of his friends, and I think they thought they got the American version,
Oh, I'll
but
switch
it
around.
obviously wasn't. It's like, whatever. And I remember just getting
Mortified.
just like, yeah,
Turned you off to the whole genre for life.
had to wear my yellow pants that day.
That's okay. My wife also hates horror movies. Like, and growing up, a lot of her family liked horror movies. So when she was really little, she got scared of a lot of stuff. Like, she explained one movie, and I was like, "That's just Hellboy." And she's like, "Yeah, it's super scary." I'm like, "That's not scary. That's just Hellboy." And she's like, "Oh, I think it's scary." I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Hellboy 1 or 2.
I don't even remember, but she doesn't remember either. But yeah, she doesn't do scary movies, which is fine.
Should I tell you my
Yeah,
Oh,
give
the
us-
second
give us
one.
your second
Sorry.
one.
I forgot.
forgot you had a
I
second one.
forgot.
second one? It's came out in 2007. It's The Mist. Really good. Do not compare it to the TV show.
Yeah, the TV show's garbage.
But
I haven't seen it.
The
It's
Mist
really
is
bad.
so like,
It's a good movie.
kind of similar to Saw. The majority of the movie takes place in like a supermarket and like a little bit in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the majority of it. And, pretty much the storm comes in, and with this storm, this mist.
Oh, The Mist.
This
Oh.
mist comes in this small town, and there's these, like, creatures that if you're in the mist,
They get you.
they get you, but if you're not in the mist, you're fine.
Then they'll miss you.
Mist you.
Missed.
But that movie, it was pretty twisty. Well, I mean,
Misty.
it had a really good cliffhanger. Well, it wasn't really a cliffhanger.
It's just a super unpredictable ending.
It was an awesome ending. And I don't think I want to actually spoil it
Yeah, that's probably.
here because, like, as a horror movie, that's what this is technically. The ending, it's like jaw-dropping. You did not expect.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anyone else do anything like this. It is, I believe it's Stephen King.
I think
It is.
so.
Because
Yeah.
I remember reading, there's so much, like, there's like this one bookshelf in there, and it's just like all Stephen King's like novels and stuff. And there's like a lot of references to that. But Yeah, I mean, I think I saw it with you.
I think so. I think it was when we were living together. Didn't we watch it?
I think we watched it, and at the end, we're just like, what? Like, holy, like, not in a bad way, what? But like what?
Yeah. But,
That's your buddy's much homework this week. Go watch The Mist.
let's talk about, because that just reminded me, and I'm kind of putting you guys on the spot here. Is there a horror movie that was hyped and that was very well loved that you didn't like? Does that make sense? Is there a movie that everyone loved but you just hated? Because I have one of those. I don't know if you guys have one.
I gotta think about that.
Was your Saw?
No.
No, not Saw. The Grudge.
No, there was this movie that was really popular. I believe it's PG-13. And tell me if you've seen it or not. And I might get some hate for this. It's called It Follows.
Never seen it.
You've never seen it? Have you seen it?
But it's okay. I'll hate it
Is
with
that
you.
the thing that like you have to pass it to somebody?
Yep.
And, yeah.
But the only way, so like, and I'm gonna butcher the plot. I'm sorry. I didn't like the movie. It was, anyway, we'll get into that. But pretty much, you have this curse or demon, whatever you want to call it, inside of you, and you're gonna die in X amount of days until you. The only way to get rid of it is to pass it to someone else. The way you pass it to someone else is by having intercourse with them.
Oh.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
Your hands.
Yeah. So you have to like pass it to someone else and trick someone into sleeping with you. But of course, it's like the main people that get it are teenagers. And then at the end, they find a way to like kill it. I don't know. I can't remember a ton of the movie. It was just terrible. It was weird watching the movie. I felt creepy watching it.
It's just like a weird mixture of like, oh, he's gonna get me.
Yeah,
oh no, he's gonna get me.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like love drama with I'm scared, and
I mean that's love drama for you.
And this like horny teenager is like so horny to the point where he's like, I don't care. You give me this demon, we're shagging up right now. Like, I'm just like, I'm sorry, what?
So, what happens when the demon gets you before you pass it?
I don't know. I don't remember. There wasn't a whole lot of sense to this movie. I feel like somebody just really wanted to make teenage drama, but only got funding if they had a horror element. I don't know what was happening.
All right.
I just remember everyone talking about this movie and how awesome it was. It has a really good IMDb rating for some reason, and I watched it and was like, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen on the face of the earth." I'm never watching this, and I feel creepy. I feel like a creepo.
I think I have a similar one. I mean, it wasn't. I remember everyone was like super like hyping it up.
Yeah.
But like when I saw it, it was like,
it was just meh.
Yeah. Do you remember The Happening?
Yeah.
That's the one where like something happened, like the world is like attacking back, or that's what they're saying. The world.
Who's in that one?
I can't remember, but it's the pretty much everyone just starts unaliving themselves, and they like that's, but like for some reason certain people, like it was just like expanding at a certain point. I don't know, it's kind of weird. There's like weird doll in it. I just remember I remember watching that movie and probably the same thing because a lot of people were like, "Oh, you gotta watch this, and I think it is horror.
Probably.
But I was like, eh.
Yeah.
I don't know if this counts. Because I don't think anyone hyped it up. But it was...
So you yourself were like, I'm going to watch... You hyped it up?
I mean, I think it's presented as like a classic horror movie. But I watched the whole, I want to say trilogy. And it was terrible.
What trilogy?
Poltergeist.
Oh,
dude.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're coming from.
Like,
it's an old movie.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I guess, like I said, it's like presented as like
a classic,
a pinnacle of one of the horror genre, like the horror genre. But it's just
Yeah.
It's so dumb and so weird. Like the psychic is like this like
I remember calling her Tangerine. So
Tangia?
Yeah.
Tangier? I don't know.
I call her Tangerine in the movie.
Like, just like her voice is so weird and like
Every 2 seconds she's like, Caroline!
she repeats herself so much and like maybe that's just the psychic method. But I could not get over it. Like there are certain points that you'd be like, okay, that's a little spooky, but it is immediately ruined. I don't know. Oh boy.
You're right, because like people do talk about that movie as like a classic. Like
Yeah.
it is like because a lot of old people have memories of being like scared to death of that movie, and
Yeah.
you're right. Like when I watched it, I had kind of the same reaction. Where there was a couple, with the TV and stuff, but like other than that, I'm just like, all right, this is an old annoying movie.
I mean, that's the thing though, that like if you compare like a lot of these like classic horror movies with modern horror movies, like
Yeah.
there's so much more what do I say? I guess I would just want to say like special effects that go along with the horror, so you can see like someone's brains getting spilled out and you can see like these monster transformations. And it's not like back in the day they had to focus so much more on story than special effects, but now they can focus more on special effects and get like that visual horror and not so much psychological horror.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is that like back in the day, I think they couldn't. Their hands were tied a little, where like oh, we can't do that. That's going too far. We can't show this. That's going too far.
That's like not like out of the social norm.
It's socially unacceptable to do certain things. But now we live in a day and age where you can pretty much do anything, and like I don't know, like just we're so numb to things now that it needs to be bigger, better, gorier, and so I kind of wish it were back in the day where they focused more on story, because a lot of the horror movies now it's just blood and guts, and there is no real depth in the movie. It's pretty surface level.
Well, I think that's why when we talk about some of the best horror movies of all time, you think like
The older ones,
80s, 90s, 2000s, where like they hit that
wasn't
sweet spot of special effects and storytelling.
Yeah, and it wasn't like an obvious cash grab.
Yeah.
But are there, I guess to end it, are there any horror movies, because it being October, are there any horror movies that are coming out that have you excited?
So I have never seen Candyman before.
Okay.
But I want to.
Very cool.
I wonder if I have to like watch the previous ones. I'll have to look that up. But I do want to see Candyman
Very cool.
this month. That looks pretty good. There's also a Halloween.
That's the one I'm excited for. Halloween Kills.
A Halloween redo.
And they got Jamie Lee Curtis, so she's back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So apparently this one's supposed to be really good. They say that about all the sequels, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But it's really weird. Again, I have not seen the whole Halloween series, but like true horror fans, they have it. I've watched on YouTube. They have it down to a science where they're like, yeah, we accept the first one, we accept the seventh one, we accept this. And there's like certain ones they'll accept, and certain ones they're just like, yeah, we don't accept that one. And then, so because they can get pretty bad at times. But apparently this one's supposed to be really good. Again, Halloween, Jamie Curtis. There's a scene where she's like, just let it burn, and he's in there and he gets out.
Oh yeah, okay, I did see that commercial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm not crazy.
What about you?
I'm excited for the new Spider-Man. I know there's going to be like Green Goblin in there. He's like pretty spooky.
Yeah, he looks pretty scary. There's a scene where he throws a goblin bomb. Ooh, that got me.
I had to turn the lights back on for that one.
All right. Well, with that being said, go out to your theaters, go watch some spooky movies, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.